here, buddy.
Okay.
Голову туда в сторону и задней спиной. Хорошо, хорошо. Отлично, отлично.
Суета нужна, суета, быстрее, резко. Время!
Bro, tomorrow I have training my arm.
You got it, come on. All right, slow down, hold on a sec. Go ahead. Hey, come this way.
The mountains are still dark when Islam Makhachev starts running. No cameras rolling for the sunrise shot, no crowd cheering him on. Just a champion, a training partner, and miles of uphill terrain that don't care how many title defenses he's already got to his name. This is what No Mercy actually looks like inside a real UFC training camp, and it's exactly what's been documented heading into his welterweight title defense against Machado Garry at UFC 330. Camp officially began in late April, giving Makhachev a full 15-week window to prepare for August 15th, one of the longer preparation stretches of his championship reign. That extended timeline alone tells you something about how seriously this specific matchup is being treated. Most title defenses don't require this much lead time. This one does, and the reasoning behind it starts with a problem that's honestly rare for a fighter as accomplished as Makhachev: finding training partners who can actually recreate what he's about to face. Footage shared by Buka Boxing in late June showed exactly how punishing the physical side of this camp has been. Makhachev doing uphill mountain runs well before sunrise, alongside training partner Ibragim Ibragimov, a 10-0 PFL fighter brought in specifically for this camp. That's not casual conditioning work. Mountain running before dawn is the kind of training that builds the specific gas tank Makhachev has relied on throughout his UFC career. The ability to maintain relentless pressure deep into the championship rounds without ever letting his pace drop, even against opponents who are supposed to have superior cardio on paper. The intensity extends well beyond conditioning, though, into a problem Khabib Nurmagomedov himself has openly acknowledged as one of the most difficult aspects of this entire camp. The training camp will be difficult too, first because we have to find someone who can imitate him, Khabib said, referring to Garry's unusual physical profile. Very few, especially in this weight class. At 6'4", with a striking style built entirely around range, movement, and distance management, Garry simply doesn't have many equivalents at welterweight. That scarcity forced Team Khabib to get creative, and the solution they landed on shows exactly how far this camp has gone to prepare for every detail of this specific fight. It's worth pausing on just how unusual that scarcity actually is within Makhachev's own weight class history. Throughout his run at lightweight, finding sparring partners with the right frame, style, and skill level to simulate an upcoming opponent was rarely this complicated, since most of his opposition shared broadly similar physical dimensions. Garry represents something genuinely different, a body type and striking approach that simply doesn't have a close match sitting around most elite training camps. That single logistical challenge ended up shaping almost every other decision Team Khabib made heading into this 15-week window. Makhachev enlisted Spain's Joel Alvarez and teammate Usman Nurmagomedov, the reigning PFL lightweight champion, specifically to help replicate Garry's frame and distance management inside the gym. Think about the resources that requires. A reigning PFL champion recruited into camp for the sole purpose of simulating one opponent's height and range so that Makhachev can drill solutions against those exact physical tools hundreds of times before ever stepping into the octagon. Alvarez brings his own relevant experience to the process too, having previously described role-playing as both Makhachev and Khabib in sparring sessions for other fighters' camps, giving him a rare, specific skill set suited exactly for this kind of targeted preparation. That's the no-mercy approach playing out in real time, not through trash talk or intimidation, but through sheer preparation intensity. Every training partner in this camp exists to solve one specific piece of the Garry puzzle. Ibragimov and the mountain runs build the cardio to sustain 5 full rounds of pressure. Alvarez and Usman Nurmagomedov recreate the exact range and movement Makhachev will actually face on fight night. Nothing about this camp has been generic or routine. Khabib's comments about the broader difficulty of this fight explain exactly why that level of specificity has been necessary. Islam is almost 35, he said. The stylistic matchup and the age together make this a difficult fight. I expect a hard fight, assuming we don't get an early finish. Spending 5 rounds with this opponent won't be easy. That's a coach with an extraordinary track record of building dominant champions, openly admitting that age and an unfamiliar stylistic puzzle have combined to make this preparation genuinely harder than most of what's come before it in Makhachev's career. The physical output documented from this camp backs up every bit of that difficulty. Multiple training camp documentary series have followed the preparation closely, capturing extended grappling sessions on top of the early morning conditioning work, all building toward a single game plan Khabib has described in blunt, simple terms: pressure, entries, takedowns, top control. It sounds straightforward on paper, but executing that formula against a 6'4" opponent who spent his entire career avoiding exactly that kind of engagement requires a level of precision that only comes from relentless, specific repetition, which is exactly what this camp has been built around. When asked directly about reports of his intense training regimen circulating online, Makhachev responded with characteristic dry humor rather than confirming every detail. "How does Instagram know that?" he joked, before clarifying that the early stages of camp focus specifically on rebuilding conditioning and strength before transitioning into heavier sparring. That measured, staged approach to a 15-week camp reflects a fighter treating every single phase of preparation with the same seriousness, regardless of how dominant his existing resume already looks. That resume, worth remembering throughout all of this, includes a 16-fight winning streak, tied for the longest in UFC history, with wins over Arman Tsarukyan, Alexander Volkanovski twice, Charles Oliveira, Dustin Poirier, and most recently, a clean decision over Jack Della Maddalena to capture the welterweight title at UFC 322 last November. Every one of those opponents walked into their fight with Makhachev believing they had a genuine path to victory. None of them found preparation this specifically tailored waiting for them on the other side of camp, at least not documented to this degree, which makes the level of resource investment in this particular training block stand out even against Makhachev's own history of relentless preparation. Garry, for his part, hasn't shied away from the magnitude of what he's facing either. He's talked openly about wanting a dominant, statement-making performance rather than an early finish, going so far as to say he wants 4 full rounds of visible domination before finishing Makhachev in round 4, specifically to prove he genuinely outclassed the champion rather than catching him with a lucky sequence. Whether that kind of ambition survives contact with a camp this specifically engineered to shut down exactly his style is the question August 15 is going to answer. Ali Abdelaziz, Makhachev's manager, has already fired back publicly at some of Garry's pre-fight confidence, sharing training footage showing Garry getting taken down repeatedly during a session, directly challenging any suggestion that his takedown defense is as impenetrable as he's claimed. That footage ties directly back into everything this brutal no-mercy camp has been building toward. Every mountain run, Every simulated sparring round against a fighter built like Garry exists to produce exactly the kind of dominant, suffocating grappling performance that leaked clips suggests Makhachev's camp is already confident it can execute on fight night. Outside voices have taken notice of the intensity too. John Jones, someone who rarely elevates other active fighters into serious conversation, backed Makhachev specifically because of his wrestling pedigree, describing the ability to dictate whether a fight happens standing or on the ground as a great gift. That kind of outside validation, paired with the sheer specificity of the training approach documented from inside camp, paints a remarkably consistent picture heading into fight week, a champion and coaching staff treating this title defense with a level of seriousness that goes well beyond typical pre-fight preparation. So when you put it all together, the mountain runs before sunrise, the recruitment of a reigning PFL champion just to simulate one opponent's frame, Khabib's own admission that this is a genuinely difficult stylistic puzzle, and Makhachev's methodical, staged approach to a 15-week camp, you start to understand exactly what no mercy actually means in this context. It's not about trash talk or intimidation tactics. It's about leaving absolutely nothing to chance against an opponent who represents something genuinely new in Makhachev's championship reign. What's your take on all of this? Does a training camp this specifically engineered guarantee the kind of dominant performance Makhachev's team is clearly building toward, or does Garry's size and range still give him a real path through even this level of preparation? It's rare to see a champion this dominant invest this heavily in solving one specific stylistic puzzle, and that alone tells you how seriously this particular title defense is being treated behind closed doors. Drop your prediction in the comments, and subscribe for more UFC 330 breakdowns as fight week approaches.